Toby.
Welcome back. Episode 71 of the N.y.a show. Once again, I appreciate every single person that checks out the show as I, need all the support as we venture into this 2022 year. So I want to kick off the show this week by making sure that all of y'all are straight, y'all had good weekends, things of that nature. Now let's talk about what's on the plate this week. Maryland Foundation shares stories of Black missing person cases. So that's something that doesn't get talked about a lot. More and more, you go into your Walmarts, things of that nature. Take a look up at the wall and see what you see over there. Across the country, stories of missing Black and brown people have largely remained unheard in their cases unsolved. One organization hopes to bring light to the nation's problem. We didn't see many or any missing Black people or brown people covered in the news, said Natalie Wilson, who is the co-founder of Black and Missing Foundation. Wilson and her sister-in-law, Derricka, started the organization back in '08. Doing our research, we found that 30% of all missing persons in this time were of color. Wilson added, so why not us? Wilson works in public relations, and her sister-in-law works in law enforcement. So they put their two combined forces together and said, all right, let's see what we can do to try to bring attention to what's going on. Since then, they have assisted hundreds of families, including the loved ones of N.y.a Eggleston, who was 21 years old at the time of her disappearance. She was last seen in Baltimore, reported missing in 2017, and she was 8 months pregnant. Look at this, 8 months pregnant. She has inspiring inspirations. She had inspiration, said her father. She still had a long life to live. The man she was dating at the time of her disappearance is now facing charges, he added. So one thing we should also put that I didn't know some of the things that she was going through. Make sure you check your child, surround your child with positive influences. Stress her father. We need the community to rally around these families. We can no longer turn a blind eye, said Wilson. Of course, you can support them here at the Black and Missing website. If you go on HBO, there's a four-part documentary. Just type in Black and Missing. You'll be able to see the entire film. Of course, this picture I've seen numerous times of a kid. This is real deal. I feel like a lot of was put on there before me even doing a story like this. I've seen this young lady's face before. Maybe let me know down in the comments if you've seen a kid type of kid, if you've ever seen a kid face before, because I've definitely seen it before. But Keisha Jacobs, Relisha Rule, these are two other young ladies. One lady out of Virginia in 2016, she went missing. She went to visit a friend, and she wrote her mother saying that she made it safely and she would see her tomorrow, never see her again. This young lady was just 8 years old when she disappeared from a shelter she would live with her family. She was last seen in 2014 she was last seen near a motel, and the person, the janitor at the shelter, ended up being found in 2014 with a gunshot to the head to an apparent suicide. So that's what we have here, the type of things we're dealing with. This website, the Black and Missing website, breaks it down, gives you everything from the amount of people that were reported missing back in 2020, the different things of why it's not seen in the media, gender, race, how many people below or under, the age of 18. So this is a very reliable website that I think everybody should come to. Black and Missing. I'll drop it down in the comments, and y'all go and support the documentary on HBO, and as well as support through the website as well. You can learn a lot through just coming through here. You can report, you can search, and you can donate, and it's a gazillion people that are missing that you'll be able to find in the database. I want to go ahead also and say RIP to the oldest U.S. veteran of World War II, Lawrence N. Brooks. He has passed away at 112 years old. Lawrence N. Brooks, the oldest World War II veteran. He's believed to be the oldest man here in the country. Died on Wednesday at the age of 112 years old. His death was announced by the National World War II Museum and confirmed by his daughters. Most African Americans serving in the segregated U.S. Armed Forces at the beginning of World War II were assigned to non-combat units. So of course, they wanted to put us aside. By all costs, they want us to get involved and regular to different service units. And that's what we were pretty much doing as Black people at the get-go. Brooks worked at the sawmill when he was drafted into the U.S. Army back in the 1940s. Drafted, key word, people see the things that we're dealing with now. After Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor, he was assigned to a mostly Black 91st Engineer General Service Regiment stationed in Australia. His brothers over there out of the country. Later in the war, troop losses virtually forced the military to begin placing more African American troops in combat positions. In 1941, fewer than 4,000 African Americans were in the military. By 4 years later, 1945, the number increased to more than 1.2 million. That's just to show y'all how bloody and how brutal the World War II war was. It wasn't just a war where we lost a lot of soldiers. It was a war where we lost a lot of civilians too. The 91st, where Brooks served, was an Army unit that built bridges, roads, and airships for planes. Brooks was assigned as a caregiver. This is, these are just facts that I'm coming to you with. He was assigned as a caregiver to some officers, during that time. That's what his thing was. Of course, they want to put us in all type of care units, care physicians. Brooks did not speak publicly about the discrimination that he and other Black soldiers faced in the war, or the discrimination his family faced in the Jim Crow Deep South. His daughter says, but of course, he should have shared some of that. It would have been good to hear some of those stories. I like to hear those stories, just to know where we were, how things are still the same, and that your family has to share those experiences, different things that they've been through. Starting with his 105th birthday, the man wasn't, but we only get promised, I think, a man 77 something years, and at the age of 105, the National World War II Museum began throwing him an annual birthday party. His favorite part of the celebration was watching the Victory Bells, the trio performing the music of the 1940s during the coronavirus pandemic in 2020 and in 2020 and 2021. The museum organized a parade in front of his home with brass bands and cream of Zulu warriors in full regalia. Even at 112, Mr. Brooks stood up for a little bit and danced, says the director over there at the World War II museum. So I just want to take a moment to once again say rest in peace, because you never know, you never know when it comes to things going on. Look at the world now, World War II, with things of that nature. We're looking at, we go back, anybody that's done any research to what the start of that led with, and of course it starts with forms of invasion, different forms of invasion. And what are we dealing with now in invasion? So I just, like I said, once again, RIP to him and everything that him and other soldiers went through during that time, because once again, World War II was one of, if not the bloodiest war, and a lot of losses that was taken on both sides. You've seen different things come out of the United States and all these other different nations as well. So let me know what y'all think. Number one, about the missing girls. Take that information down. See what you can do. If there's anybody that you need to report missing now, put that down as a new piece of contact and a resource for you, as well as telling me about anything you know about World War II. It's in the RIP to the last surviving veteran of World War II, as we sit here in 2022, and we don't know what's going on. So once again, it's the N.y.a show. Appreciate y'all, and I'll see y'all next week.